Welcome to the 30-minute hour. It's the personal development podcast for the seven-figure entrepreneur who's looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me, as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all around good guy, Ted Fells.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday.
No. It's not Happy Monday. Today is something different.
Happy
It's
day after the Super Bowl.
it's Happy Taylor Swift Day. There you go. It's
Yeah, that's it. I
I think
mean,
it's almost a national holiday today. I heard on the radio that 16 million people on average take this day off. They take a sick day. So it's more popular than St. Patty's Day. So it's pretty much a national holiday, but we're working.
wow. I mean, could
yeah.
could you could you have a better story than that though? Like Kelsey, he won his third Super Bowl, two back to back. He's got the love affair with a multi-billion-dollar pop star. It doesn't get any better. And they were out there, embracing with the confetti. It doesn't get any better than that.
It was a fairy tale ending.
It was a
I tell you.
fairy tale ending.
It was.
Yeah.
Was it scripted though? I mean, I've heard a lot of people saying it might be.
Seemed too good to be true. It seemed too good to be true.
That's right. I mean, NFL made an extra what 330
I
million
guess that
dollars or something because of Taylor.
Nick. I guess that's what the rest of us haters say. It's scripted. We're haters. All of us. All of
I
us
was
are
kind of
haters.
rooting for Purdy, the young and up and comer, the
He
underdog.
played a great game. He played a
Yeah, he
great game.
certainly did.
And he kept
He-
his cool. Like, he's never been on that stage before, so it's crazy.
Yeah. So today we're here to talk about the secrets to business transformation and cyber resilience. So definitely cybersecurity is something if you own a business and you're not paying attention to cybersecurity and the threats that are out there, you could be setting yourself up for problems down the road. So this is definitely an episode you want to lean into because we have the cybersecurity expert. There's a lot of cybersecurity experts represented on today's episode. I mean, our super CEO has been in the IT game for 27 years. This is going to be a fascinating episode. This is even going to be better than the Super Bowl. You thought you were glued. You thought you were glued to the set last night. Wait till this evening when you hear what we talk about.
Be glued to your monitor,
Or glued to
talking
your
about
phone. There
cyber
you go.
resilience.
That's right. All right. As you can tell, this is not your everyday podcast. Nick, we do things a little differently here on the 30-minute hour. So, in addition to watching us on the various platforms, you can go to our 30-minute hour Facebook page and LinkedIn and YouTube and watch us live. You can also go to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and listen to us on those platforms. Make sure you subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Once again, we're here to talk about the secrets to business transformation and cyber resilience. And I'm going to go ahead and bring our guest on right now. From redefining business strategies to fortifying cybersecurity defenses, his biography is a tale of success in the ever evolving digital landscape. And today he's going to share the secrets to business transformation and cyber resilience that have ultimately become his trademark. So please join me in welcoming to the 30-minute hour, Nick Lorizio.
Wow, that was quite the introduction, Eric. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah,
Excited to talk cyber with the entrepreneurial twist on it.
yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to this. So we are just curious, like, how did your journey as an entrepreneur begin?
Yeah, no. So I actually started much like Ted here. I worked for a family-owned IT company out of college, and this was a 20, 30 plus year managed service provider that spun out in that late 90s, like early 2000s .com boom, where a lot of these service providers came out and they started reselling Microsoft products, reselling Cisco products and services, et cetera, et cetera. Now, they've had a very successful run for a long time. And, I think that they've also had their clients for a very long time. However, with all this cybersecurity stuff going on, they either need to pivot or they're going to either fall behind, they're going to try and sell their businesses, if the kids don't want to take them over or whatever you may have it. But if you don't adapt to the change in the market, you're certainly not going to survive the next few years here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean that's just the key. That's entrepreneurship 101, especially in this ever changing climate. So, like, if you could go back to when you initially started out as an entrepreneur with the knowledge of what you know now, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh wow. I like to think I'm still young. I'm approaching 30 here in the near term. But I started about 3 years ago during the peak of the pandemic, right? And that's the title of my book is digitalization, the new normal of the post-pandemic world, because it accelerated technology advancements drastically. I mean, we were just using ChatGPT to work up a description instantaneously, a little bit about all of us, a little bit about our shows, and it's amazing how quickly it could put something together with a little bit of human touch. Um, but yeah, I think I started about 3 years ago. I mean, I've learned a lot about myself, in this journey. It can be a little lonesome at times. I have a very supportive partner, girlfriend that couldn't do it without her, or my dog, right? Close family, friends, dad, mom, right? Step family. So you need that support system, as well as like just looking at your past work relationships for maybe some guidance or some mentors. I think that's really huge. But when I came out of the gate into this thing, I was like totally stereotype entrepreneur. I know what I'm doing. I can do this. A lot of moment came out with a lot of momentum out of the gate, and then, wow, was it a humbling? You learn pretty quick how challenging it is when you get a couple rejections or doors closed. So I would say don't be such a know-it-all and be open to feedback.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing about it being a lonely journey, I can certainly
At
relate to.
times. Yeah.
I think the challenge is nobody really understands, exactly what you're trying to accomplish. And so, I mean, so what do you do to overcome that loneliness and to get feedback and, have those conversations?
Yeah, be open to, like you guys working together and partnering. I think that's huge, right? Like, I think in the beginning I was like, I can do this all myself. It's not gonna work. No one's gonna do business with someone who owns 100% of the pie.
Eric, I'm
Like
Eric, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry.
it's all good.
I know the show must go on. But Eric, did your daughter just walk in on the show and just kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we
We,
gotta
we, we need
have
to have we need
we
to have a
gotta have
little.
her as a we gotta have her as a guest one day, Eric. We might as well.
Yeah, I should have just called her and said, "Hey, since you want to come in, we should interview you on."
Oh man, that was too funny. Sorry,
But
Nick.
no, so kind of back to the topic though. I think one of the things that motivates you to want to go into business is, well, you know what, I can do this. I can make this happen. I can press through challenges. But I think it helps to partner, because you're kind of going into the unknown.
You really are. And you have to get creative and sometimes and I think imposter syndrome is a big thing too. Like,
Yes.
you basically left an organization, maybe you're a few rings down from the CEO, depending on how large the company is, whatever. You basically move yourself to the top of the org chart and say, okay, it's now. So you feel like you could feel like an imposter yourself. So you do need some external validation, I think, to reassure you, tell you you can do this, because that can go a long way. I think I think it's important to. I think it was especially hard when everything was shut down. You couldn't go to a coffee shop or to go kind of meet somebody or mingle, right? I mean, I think that was especially challenging. But in today's climate, everything's back and open, and you can go out and just talk to. Honestly, some of the best feedback comes from random people because it's unsolicited. I mean, it could just be kind of, they're not going to have any bias. They don't want to. They don't care about hurting your feelings, right? So it could be somebody you just met, and sometimes they have the best advice.
Hmm.
You
Okay.
know, one of the things you talked about moving up in the org chart and the organization, and then becoming an entrepreneur where you are the org chart, right? Or it's a little different. It's a little different when it's just you just got a box and a whole bunch of little boxes to a point there's just one box, right? And that's just you. And you got to figure all those things out. And really, what you know is really probably one box, right? You know the box to do the work, but you don't know any of those other boxes. So at some point, you hopefully get one box and you get somebody that can do your HR, and one box somebody to do marketing. But right now, all of that you got to do within that one box, and that's yeah, yeah. The org chart is me.
Yeah, it's a lot of you certainly online, if you have the willpower, you can self-teach yourself quite a bit. Tools like YouTube and now wish they had that a few years ago when I first started. But you can leverage a lot of online learning tools, and if you have the willpower, you can learn what you don't know. Or reach out to your professional network for some expertise. But I think you made a great point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's some your mic is cutting in and out a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How's
So
that? Is that better?
yeah, there
Much
we go.
better. It's much
All
better.
right. Good
All right.
stuff. So you were saying basically if there's something that you don't know, you can always learn it. With all kinds of resources. I mean, you talking about YouTube. I know somebody that literally taught themselves how to build a house by watching YouTube videos. So the information is definitely there.
It is, and it's pretty remarkable. I mean, I would also add like LinkedIn Learning, or a lot of the large technology resellers will provide, once you're an approved reseller, will provide resources to enable you to go out and sell their products. So they have their own resources as well. And
Oh,
once
for
you go
sure.
through that process, like with Dell or Cisco, et cetera, you can leverage those tools and resources. And YouTube really does have it all. I mean, it's crazy what you can do with the Apple Vision now. Have you seen the new goggles that came out? And
Hmm.
people are that have never been a mechanic before in their life are ripping apart engines just by pulling up a YouTube video, pulling up the guide on over here. It's just incredible.
For sure, for sure. So you're the co-founder and CEO of Astute. So tell us, like, who is your ideal client and how do you help them?
Oh, absolutely. So really, it's if I could it's really any business seeking to leverage technology for growth and be protected, right? So what I've done in this industry is, it's always it's kind of like a standard practice of get the initial meeting or touch point with the prospective business, and then you kind of want to come in and just evaluate their current software and hardware solutions that are in place today, where they're looking to go, right? And then you want to make sure that cybersecurity is at the forefront of that conversation the entire time, right? Because that's what's going to ultimately drive the business today, whether it's a regulated industry or not, right? Like healthcare or finance, SEC. But really, it's coming in, it's evaluating, and then it's coming back and providing recommendations, right? And depending on the circumstance, they might just close the door on you and just say, "I'm not. It's not in the budget. I'm not spending money on this." So it's always fun and interesting. But really, we service companies of all sizes.
Okay. So what is it about? I mean, there's quite a few people that offer the same service. What is it that separates you from the pack?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we have our own in-house proprietary tool, our own IP. right? So we're able to leverage AI for most issues that come across, right? Over 90% of issues can be resolved with AI with some human oversight, right? So it's, we get alerts, we review the alerts, we make sure that the AI is working properly, right? And it's identifying and isolating the threats from the network, right? Whether it comes from a non allied nation of the US or NATO, why is this traffic coming into the company's network, right? We want to isolate that threat before it's too late. Maybe uh, it's just a DDoS attack where somebody's spamming the network a whole lot. We want to shut down that port on the network or whatever it may be. So yeah, I would say it's our team, it's the people always that are overlooking and making sure that the tool is working well. Um, I think that's really it.
Okay. Yeah, and just for the sake of our listeners and viewers, can you explain just what the dangers or threats are to the typical business as it relates to cybersecurity and the risk of not really having uh, a good plan and good support there?
Yeah, I mean it's a number of things. Like the big thing is phishing is very common. I wouldn't expect every controller or finance person to be a cybersecurity and IT expert, or a lawyer or accountant or whatever your role is, HR. I wouldn't expect them, right? The expectation isn't there for them to be super technologically literate, right? Maybe they are, maybe they're not, whatever. But that's not their trade or profession. So what'll happen is these hackers are very smart. They'll break into your network. They'll send you a malicious link. Maybe they'll send you so many links and spam you with so many notifications that you just hit accept, right? Because you're tired. Why am I getting so much spam, right? And some people, maybe they're tired after the Super Bowl, and they just want to click out of it. Little do they know, some malicious software, malware, got onto the system, and now a hacker's just sitting there and watching your activity for months. If it's a really patient, smart, intelligent hacker, they might just sit there and watch your activity day in and day out. And they're going to know that you send out payroll on Friday at 2 o'clock. When you hit that button, they might just change the number, the bank account number. Boom. There goes your whole payroll to an account in some foreign country that we have no
Wow.
relations with, and it's gone.
Mm.
Yeah. So I mean, Ted, this is you've been in this world for a minute. What are you? What's your insights on cybersecurity and threats and those types of things?
Oh yeah. I mean, Nick is on it. I mean, it's big. I mean, you gotta, your emails that are out there. I mean, the ways that people are getting into stuff is really through simple forms, right? And it's,
Hmm.
and you can have all the greatest systems in place, but you could have a user that doesn't know any any better. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was talking about how she works for an agency, and someone had taken her name, connected to like a Gmail account, right? But they had the right name of a person in the agency. And so the person, I guess, whoever received the email was thinking, oh, yeah, this person is the point person for this particular thing, and trusted that person and transferred some money to that person. And then it's like, okay, what do we do now, man? There's not much that can be done. That money is gone to, wherever. And so, you got to be careful of who you trust and those emails. And before you're giving, your critical information, and especially doing, transferring of, funds and things like that. So it's very, it's a real serious matter.
It really is, and I always recommend that people, if it's a small enough transaction, depending on your credit limit, to pay with a credit card, especially if it's a personal expense that's pretty large for an individual. Pay with a credit card. You have 3 days to report. So if it wasn't an intended purchase, you're able to claim that money back. Um, Don't be using a debit card for purchases.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. So please share some more of the secrets of business transformation and cyber resilience.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big talking point right now is Microsoft Copilot. I've always been a big proponent of 365. For a long time, Ted, like you know this best, the bread and butter was you would host your own email. You would have your own email system that you would sell. You would sell maybe help desk support. You would sell maybe some in office equipment. When the pandemic hit with this whole hybrid model, like people are dispersed. So a lot of that hardware went away, and now I say you have to protect the edge, which is where people are. It's at their laptop. It's at the Starbucks coffee shop.
Mm.
They're sitting behind networks that are not protected by those types of devices as much anymore. So you really need an agent on those systems that's looking at traffic and activity there. Um, so yeah, no, I think that's the one of the biggest things, and really, it's you're going to see a big, with tools like Copilot once organizations start rolling that out within their 365 to their employees. You're going to see a huge efficiency improvement.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. All of this is just it's really interesting, and you think about this when I guess before COVID, and you got all these buildings and facilities, and you were concerned about making sure that those facilities were secure, right? Both from a physical security standpoint, right? You got guards and you're checking people for weapons and things like that, and then from a information security standpoint, make sure all that information is protected, and then you're like, okay, go home, be remote with the same information, right? But then you're not thinking of it like those individuals have now. They're not thinking like little chief information security officers of their own little home environment. Then it just opened up a whole bunch of other things, and a hacker is just looking for a way to get in. So if he can get into it while you're at the coffee shop or you're at the house, or whatever, I mean, that access is there to get in and get to that same important information that was so critical within a larger facility. It's all about the data, right? That's it. It's all about the data.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's corporate intellectual property or confidential. Military is a huge, like the large military contractors like Raytheon, et cetera. They'll have you like drop your phone um, in like a zip bag that won't get cell service, and then you'll go into a meeting and have big conversations with no phones in the room whatsoever.
Yeah.
Mm.
Technology.
Wow.
So I think we'll still see some of that. Um, if there's a will, there's a way. You want to work with a team that you trust at the end of the day. I think tools are great. I think AI is great. It saves a lot of the data entry and monotonous kind of tasks. But you're always going to have some human oversight that says, say, hey, this doesn't look right. We haven't seen this before. Right?
Yeah.
Nick, when you start talking about AI, right? Because that's the big thing now, right? Everybody's talking about AI. I mean, give us your thoughts around AI, and for that listener, right? That viewer that's just been hearing about AI, but really like break it down for them on really kind of what it is, and what some of the implications are around AI, and even security vulnerabilities around.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think Will Smith, iRobot, when they hear AI or Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
So it does have like
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of a scary connotation to it. I think it's an amazing tool, and we've consistently, evolved since, forever, right? The beginning of time. I mean, there was the industrial age. There was, when machines first came in, and we all thought we'd lose our jobs and not have anything to do. I mean, it just changed. I just think the way that we work is changing. You're able to do creative talks like this, whereas before, you might have to do a large report or PowerPoint that can be done in minutes. I mean, really minutes. I'm able to take my voice. It sounds so close to me, and literally replicate it. Um, and it even knows my talking style. You know,
Mm.
I'm gonna have code words with my loved ones so they know it's me. I guess,
It's me.
but
That's
yeah,
the funny thing. Like I hear somebody's like man, I don't know. Are you AI? Like, because you know,
yeah,
and then you're asking yourself. I think it was a commercial that was on the Super Bowl. It's like, am I? Am I AI?
yeah.
It's
So you know,
Some of those nonprofit advertisements looked like they were AI generated photos or something. They were probably trying to save a few bucks, but hey, it
man,
works. It still gets the point across, right? I mean, that's fine. It's only gonna improve. So I think it's a very interesting time. Unfortunately, it's kind of caused some layoffs. A lot of these
mm,
big companies have been able to lay people off. We saw the writers strike, right? Eric,
mm,
no, we're both authors, so
yeah.
but I just think the way that we work is going to change. And if COVID showed us anything, we're always going to have the need for social interaction. We're social
Sure.
creatures. We like to talk.
So
it's so funny when you think about this AI stuff.
yeah.
You'll see on like Instagram, and you'll see like a picture of someone, this beautiful lady, and you hear all these people going. You look at the comments, they're like, "Hey, dude, she's AI, man. She's AI."
Look what happened with Taylor Swift. Someone did the nudity thing with her, and it was all over X.
Crazy,
And it looked pretty real.
crazy.
So yeah, I mean it is.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think.
at a point now.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
I was right. I'm at a point. If I see one of those pictures come on my stream, I just automatically assume it's AI. If it's like really nice and it's enhanced looking and all of that, I just assume
You're too
that it's
perfect.
AI.
You're AI.
It's
You're
just
AI.
too good to be true there.
It's funny that that's how AI views us, huh?
Yeah,
That's it, is it going to get upset eventually that we're not as perfect? We're all made in God's image here, so I mean, we have flaws. We're not perfect people. So
Right.
I think it's a little scary that it thinks of us that way, but it's very impressive. I think we all have our own styles a little bit, and that's cool. And I always put my own twist on it.
yeah.
People know
So
it's me. Yeah.
some people they've seen the Terminator and they're a little worried about where things are headed. But what are some other ways that people can leverage AI? Just a typical entrepreneur to really get good use of AI to make themselves more efficient and productive.
Well, there's a lot. I'll get right to that. My last point on the last, the concerns with AI would just be, look, there's going to be ethics boards. Companies and individuals are going to have their own instances with this tool. Right? It's a tool at the end of the day. We're going to have our own versions of it that other people may or may not be able to influence. I think companies are going to build them out on their own private clouds and have their own rules around what the tool can do. At the end of the day. But yeah, I think you don't want this maybe in K through 12 schools. Like stuff like that. Like so you gotta kind of or healthcare, right? Maybe you want to put some guidelines around what it can do in healthcare. So, but I think the overall benefit to society and the ability for people to create and have conversations like we are right now far outweighs the negative.
Sure. Absolutely. I know I've used it like the industry specific standard operating procedures. You just put it out there and it's just it's detailed right right to the button. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, no, it is. Like I just used it to write up the description for this broadcast, this live stream, which is crazy. I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. It needs to be less than 3,000 characters. So now but now it just learned that for me. It's
Mm.
probably it might have never heard of the tool that we're using, StreamYard, to produce this content. It might have never heard of that before. But now it knows the description needs to be this long. It can't be longer than this. It needs a title. So it just learned, and that's why, you know, um, I think there's a lot of value in me interacting with my own company's AI tool, Astute Advisor, because it's learned all those inputs,
Yeah.
right? Over time, it's learned the blogging style. It's learned, a lot about the topic of cybersecurity. So, pretty cool stuff.
I tell you. And so we like to really kind of present the full perspective when we have entrepreneurs on. Everybody we have on is successful in their own way, but we are curious. Like, tell us about a low point that you've experienced in your business and what you've learned from it.
Well, those are never fun to talk about, maybe one or two mental breakdowns where you're just like, I can't do this, it's like, wow. But, it's like, I think the little bit of crazy is like, there's this voice that stays in the back of your head that's like, you're capable of doing this, right? You have the expertise and knowledge. And, I think a lot of us entrepreneurs have a bigger purpose than just the money. I think that's nice. I think it helps sometimes to say, I'm going to get the house I want or the car I want, or, that reward. You can see that at the end of the tunnel, but that doesn't get you through the real tough stuff, right? It's like, no, I'm doing this for a family member, or I'm doing this because I really see a problem with cybersecurity and I believe I know how to fix it, or I'm going to try. So I think it's that higher purpose, that kind of roots you in your crazy that keeps you
Yeah, I mean, I do think it should be something that you're passionate about. I know of people who get into these franchises because they think it's the money potential, it's a turnkey, but they don't really love it. So it's hard to really to get through the crazy. Like from talking to you, it really comes across that you genuinely are interested in IT and helping people with these cybersecurity concerns. I think if it's not genuine, it's just tough.
going. It really is, and you see that with a lot of franchises that go downhill. I mean, Burger King's a great example of people have made so much money on the real estate of all the buildings.
Yeah.
There's I think they were going to buy back the ownership, like the Burger King corporate. They're part of Taco Bell and KFC, something brands. But anyway, they want to buy back like 700 and something locations, right?
Mm.
Because so many of the owners are like not held to the high standard that McDonald's is, and they're just like letting them sit there, put one freaking employee behind the register, and just watch the real estate value go up. But nobody's walking in. It's like you already own the building. Why don't you just sell something? You already have the real estate, right?
Hmm.
So I think when you think about the franchise model, and it's something I think about a lot um, recently, is you look at like Chick-fil-A does it really well.
Oh yeah.
They're really picky about the owners. They have a limited menu that needs to be your only focus, and every Chick-fil-A crushes it. They're closed on Sunday. I don't know if that, but it maybe God's happy there. I mean, seriously, because and now they're fighting with New York on that, and because they put Chick-fil-A's in all the rest stops, and people are. But
Yeah, they're very particular. Like, and before you can get a second location, you got to meet certain qualifications with your first location, and yeah, so they definitely do it right. So what's your next goal, and what's driving you to go after it?
Cool. Well, right now I'm doing my world tour, if you will. I'm doing a lot of podcasting, and really that's to just continue to drive the message and continue to drive up adoption of the tool and get people using the Astute platform. And like just something really cool is like I've become a best-selling author, and now I'm in foreign markets, which takes a little bit longer than the U.S. But like I sold 150 hardcovers in Germany last month. pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
150 hardcovers in Germany. All right.
Yeah, so I saw that and I had to do a double take. I mean, I've sold tens of thousands now,
Hmm.
and but a lot of those are ebooks. I've done promotions. I've bought some myself. Companies I've worked for, but this was like, whoa, like podcasting works. I'm now reaching like a new market overseas. I've never been to Germany.
Hmm.
Love to go. I'm sure it's fun. I mean, the beer garden stuff looks kind of interesting, but hey, I just thought that was a super cool win. So back to your entrepreneurship stuff, like celebrating a small win like that carries you that much further. So you might have like a streak of like, this isn't working. I couldn't get financing. I didn't close that sale. I didn't make this work. Maybe I had to pivot. Maybe my product wasn't right. And you'll go back to your product 100 times. It always comes back to sales.
Hmm.
You got to make the conversation. You got to
Yep.
network. And really, I would say those small wins like that book sale in Germany just carry me maybe another week. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have some losses, but whatever. You have to like really praise that like small win like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So,
So I
so
have
I,
a, so
go
I
ahead,
have a
Ted.
question. We talk about the secrets to business transformation and cyber resilience. And I know we've talked a lot about the cyber piece, but when you're saying business transformation for our listeners, like, and most people will say, "Oh, business, okay, transform business." I mean, what does that really mean?
Yeah, I ask myself that question a lot. It came out as a marketing term. I remember actually driving into Logan Airport, seeing it on a billboard. It was like a Dell advertisement, and it said like digital transformation.
What does
And
that mean?
yeah, so no, I know it's funny, and I think it can mean different things, and certainly with any marketing words. But really, I saw digital transformation, and I see it as a cultural shift
Hmm.
in a company, in an organization, right? So your employees might be still on paper.
Mm,
I mean, and really, there's a lot of businesses owners out there that have are either retiring or trying to sell. Little success now, and they might still be a paper business, and I think that's a big hurdle for people that might want to come in and buy them, right? Especially the millennial younger generation doesn't want to do that. Systems in place. So it's kind of taking an old a culture that maybe still on paper, maybe a lot of things are manual, right?
mm-hmm,
It's automating those processes.
mm-hmm,
It's giving you the access to communicate anywhere at any time, whether it's through
mm-hmm,
Microsoft Teams, Zoom, whatever. Um,
mm-hmm.
and it's collaboration is the other big word. It's getting people to work together. So I think for a long time, the
Mm,
people wanted to put people in silos, different departments, right?
Hmm.
mm,
So you would
mm.
have sales over here, finance over here, you would have engineering over here, legal over here. No one could talk to each other, and then you would have leadership. Now
So,
leadership is saying, let's talk together and collaborate. So you might have a junior salesperson work with a junior finance person, right? You might have a junior legal person work with a junior HR or senior, vice versa. So you're now
mhm.
encouraging people to work together rather than have such a divide. Because that what that ultimately does is yes, it's easier to control people that way. However, you're really inhibiting innovation from happening.
So it really sounds like it's all about really efficiency and productivity, right? So what in business transformation, what can we do for this organization to make you more to operate more efficiently and be more productive, right? Because you're already doing the job, right? You know, you're a law firm, this is what you do, right?
Correct.
You're a real estate company, this is what you do. And then when you start coming in and trying to see how you can make things better, you know, digitization and all that kind of AI, all that kind of, now you're getting into, how can we actually transform that, that,
Yeah, I
that,
mean,
that
and
organization?
it depends on. you had a good point. Like whether it's the real estate company or the law firm or whoever it may be that you're talking with, they're going to look at it from a different lens, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm a accounting firm or whatever, or finance, my focus is finance or I'm a finance person within the company, I'm going to care about my bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
How is this going to show a return? And that's exactly right when you said about the operational improvement, the efficiency improvement. And you just have to show that somehow or explain that to them.
Yeah.
Think about the time savings, think about the ability to, people are going to be able to communicate directly and from anywhere at any time. And then, when and that's great because and the other thing is I've now switched it from digital or business transformation to AI transformation because now
Mm.
it's taking it a step further, right? Um, and the big thing is it's what I always do is I say, okay, cybersecurity, right? Um, the big thing is leveraging these tools is good. You're going to get an efficiency improvement, like using a 365 to like one provider for this or one solution for this or whatever. Five different tools to do the same thing, right?
Mm.
You use 365, great, huge operational improvement. Go to the cloud, huge operational improvement. You can now access files from anywhere in the world. Crazy, right? As long as there's an internet connection, right?
Mm.
So which shows a huge efficiency. But what's crazy now is it's back to that cybersecurity conversation. Like, what's the cost of not using these tools? What's the cost of these systems not working? What's the
Mm.
cost of your business operating? How long can your business operate before you have to close your doors because you can't pay?
Wow.
Okay. So you mentioned your book earlier. So tell us about your book. Who's it for, and how's it going to help them?
Sure, this is for mass audience, right? It's for, I mean, simple things. IBM did a study 80% of users, computer users, don't use multi factor authentication. That's been around for 60 years. It's the best form of encryption there is. Interesting enough, and I won't get into this because it is theory, and there's PhDs that are a lot smarter than me on this topic. Um, but they're now saying quantum computing has the potential to crack classic MFA. It can operate at that speed. But we'll see, right? But anyway, 80% of people just aren't doing it, and maybe some policies have to be enforced. Say you have, especially
Mm,
if you work in healthcare, children education, or something of that sort. You need to be doing that because the reality is something like multi-factor authentication to access data. It still works really well.
Mm.
You need two devices now. Right? My phone's always in my pocket for the most part. So, it's pretty hard to get at both. And then it's training and education. Right? I put out a lot of free resources like this, and not everyone takes advantage of it. Some people do, but it's a great way to to educate and just talk about this stuff because the conversations just aren't happening enough.
Mm.
okay. Awesome. So we're going down to our final segment. Is write this down. This is where we each share a takeaway from today's episode that the people need to write down so they can level up.
Still keep a notebook handy just in
Still keep a
case.
notebook in case
Right.
you have to write something down. See, there you
A
go. That,
hybrid.
that's
Well,
the
no, I'm
that's
I'm
the
all
spirit
for
of this segment.
digitalization, but I still have a notebook
There you go.
just in case.
All right, Nick. So you're the guest of honor. What do the people need to write down from today's episode?
Oh wow. Well, I would say embrace failure as a stepping stone to success.
Hmm,
Stay ahead of technology trends, but align them with strategic business goals. Invest in cybersecurity as a foundational element of your business. Keep your customer at the heart of your innovation efforts. Customers always comes first. They might not always be right, but keep them at the forefront.
okay. Awesome. So those are all some good things that the people need to be writing down. That's
Absolutely.
fantastic. All right. So Ted,
So I just look at it from I think we all learned through through COVID, right? And having to, do more things in a virtual, capacity that, we can get things the capabilities and technologies are out there for us to be able to do things kind of anywhere, anytime, from any device, but how do we, we have to, as Nick has emphasized, do it securely, right? We talked about the data. The data is just as important uh, uh, as it was in your office as it is on your kitchen table, right? So you have to, you know, take that into consideration in everything that you do, and making sure that that uh that you secure in that data. And
Mhm.
yeah, just write that down. It's protect that data.
Write that
Yeah.
down. Protect the data. So my piece for this segment has to do with something you said just a little while ago, Nick, and I think this is just a critical question because quite often we're looking at like the front end costs, like okay, well, yeah, I could work with Nick, but how much is it going to cost me? What's the fee? What's the investment? But the real question is, what's the cost of not investing in cybersecurity?
Mm.
Right? What is that? What does that cost? And I've been around this to see where it could be in the hundreds of thousands for a business or more. I've seen it. I know of specific examples where I know of instances where businesses have been lost because they got a cyber attack that they just weren't prepared for. They didn't have cyber insurance, didn't have the proper protections. So it's when you understand the opportunity cost, I think it helps you to make better decisions. So you just write that down.
100%. Yeah. 100%. It's the big focus on prevention and not just reacting. Because
Exactly.
oftentimes, like, okay, great, the insurance company cut you a check. It's way too late. You might never
Yep.
get that data back,
Hmm.
right? And what are your files worth, right? You might upset some customers by not being able to do business with them, right? They might not ever do business. What is that going to cost you? You might lose a customer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you lost the confidence of a
Yep.
customer. There's the opportunity loss,
There you
right? If
go.
your network is down, and the time that it's down, you getting a key email, right? With something that you need to respond to quickly, and you miss it, right? So yeah. You-
Yeah, it's the cost of really not doing business, and it's working with a trusted third party to make sure that your systems don't get shut down, right? And can react accordingly if they do, right? But
Mm,
I always say it's not if, it's when it's going to happen.
sure.
Exactly.
Odds are the way that the market's trending, it's becoming more and more prevalent. And I always use the analogy like, you don't really see people doing the whole Wild West sticking up banks like they used to, like, and coming in and doing that physical. It's happening online, fortunately.
Yeah.
So that's where the crime is taking place.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, and then the bad guys are getting more and more sophisticated. So you definitely need that support. Somebody that's up on the latest things and can help you to stay protected. So Nick, speaking of that, how can the people best connect with you, get your book, take advantage of your services?
Absolutely. So my book is in Walmart. It's on the Amazon store. It's in Barnes and Noble, and a number of other sites as well. We released our audiobook last year around this time, which is great. So if you prefer to listen and not have the physical book, I always say you can't change a physical book, right? I'm on my version 2, if you will, of that. But yeah, no. So you can definitely go and grab a copy. I would really appreciate the support. It goes right into our research and development, furthering the advancement of our AI. So that's great. And LinkedIn, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so I'd be happy to connect or respond to you on LinkedIn. Right, that's just going to be my name, Nick Lorizio. As well as Instagram, just first initial, last name, and Lorizio. Started doing some TikTok, right, which tends to be the younger demographic, but still cool. I learn more from my brothers than I do than I know myself. Right, it's just different generation. I'm the oldest of four, so you know, I learn more from them. Just like your daughter could probably tell you more about technology. You know, it's crazy. Growing up with it, it's definitely a different perspective, and I'm certainly mindful of that. Um, yeah, I'm all over. I'm on as many platforms as you can name. YouTube as well. Pretty active.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Nick Lorizio, for everything that you shared. And speaking of sharing, don't forget to share the show.
Share the show. Share the show.
That's right. Now, don't keep this great information just to yourself. Don't keep it a secret. Once again, don't forget you can go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and make sure you subscribe so that you never miss an episode. This has been a great and wonderful episode of the 30-Minute Hour podcast. That is our time for this week. And until next time, have a great one.